Welcome back. Over 20 million Americans struggle with drug and alcohol addiction, and over the last 40 years, many thousands of them have turned to a rehab program called Narconon. It offers a path to recovery based on the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology. The church received a lot of attention earlier this summer when Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes announced their divorce. After what you're about to see, Narconon is likely to be in the spotlight itself because of a recent string of patient deaths. Harry Smith has been investigating trouble in treatment.
Stacey Dawn Murphy was the apple of her father's eye. The beautiful 20-year-old former cheerleader dreamed of becoming a veterinary assistant. But Stacey died this summer, a life cut short under mysterious circumstances.
This is a smile, the cheerful, bubbly appearance that you would see her whole life.
Stacey's father, Robert, and stepmother, Susan, say Stacey had struggled with an addiction to Oxycontin, but Stacey wanted to be drug-free.
Narconon, the most effective drug.
So she checked into a drug rehabilitation center she found online. It's called Narconon Arrowhead, and it's located in a remote area of Oklahoma.
We are the authorities on getting people off drugs. We are the authorities on the mind. We are the
Famous Scientologists like Tom Cruise and Kirstie Alley have touted Narconon's value.
A kiss and a Hawaiian lei.
A crew from Extra captured John Travolta and Kelly Preston hosting a fundraiser for Narconon's Hawaii facility in 2007. Narconon claims 62 treatment centers around the world, including 19 in the U.S.
Compared to other rehabs, we're the best.
Oklahoma's Narconon Arrowhead is the worldwide flagship facility for Narconon. The Murphys say they didn't know about the link between Narconon and Scientology.
I got online and wanted to know about what is Narconon, and it looked like, wow, this is a professional place. This looks good.
You're thinking this might be the answer.
Oh, yeah, because they tout such high success rate.
A remarkable success rate of 75%. Narconon's method of rehabilitation is unorthodox. Patients are called students, and they study a series of 8 books based on the writings of Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard.
She says, they got us doing this weirdest stuff, Daddy. She says, we have to sit in front of another student and yell at them and curse at them and say awful things about them, and they're not allowed to react in any aspect whatsoever. And I says, honey, all I can say is they're professionals here.
How much did it cost to put Stacey in there?
Well over $30,000.
$30,000?
Yes.
I can't even believe it. It works.
Narconon advertises itself as a non-medical rehabilitation program. Its unconventional methods include 5 hours a day in a sauna for 30 straight days and megadoses of the vitamin niacin.
Drug residues.
Hubbard claimed the program will rid a body of the toxic residue of drugs. He believed any drug is essentially a poison, and even medicines create a barrier to spiritual well-being. The detox is part of a larger system of life skills training that many Narconon graduates told us have helped them lead drug-free lives. 6 weeks into Stacey Murphy's stay, she went home for a one-day visit. According to Narconon clients interviewed by the local sheriff's department, upon her return, Stacey used drugs she had smuggled back into the facility. The sheriff's report says she was put in a withdrawal unit, where she was left unsupervised for several hours. By the time a staff member looked in on her, she was dead. Murphy said he frantically called the Narconon Arrowhead CEO, Gary Smith, for an explanation.
I said, did the physician look at her? And he says, no, he was not here at the time. Did the nurse look at her and observe her and stay with her? And again, he said, well, we're looking into that. We're investigating this.
But Stacey Murphy isn't the first person to die at Narconon's Arrowhead facility here in Oklahoma. In fact, she's the 3rd person to die here in less than a year. Family members of the deceased are mystified that law enforcement and regulatory agencies haven't done more to investigate.
Hillary Holton was just 21 years old when she died in her Narconon dorm room in April. The cause of death has not yet been determined. Gabriel Graves was the father of 2 beautiful girls. The 32-year-old was found dead in his bed at Narconon last October.
It seems like it was just yesterday.
Gabe's mother and stepfather, Shirley Ann and Emmett Gillum, say they want answers from Narconon too.
I felt like they were leading me to believe he overdosed, and I was devastated.
But the autopsy report showed only trace amounts of morphine in Gabe's system, and the cause of death remains a mystery.
It needs some type of monitoring. I mean, what the heck's going on?
The Gillums say Gabe spoke to them about a drug rehabilitation center that was anything but drug-free, a place Gabe said drugs were used by some as barter for sex.
He said that it was one of the easiest places he's ever been to get drugs if you want them. He said there were drugs offered for exchange of physical favors.
So the people at Narconon offer drugs to the patients in exchange for sex?
Female patients is what he told me.
A former client and a former employee both told us similar stories, but Narconon Arrowhead denies the allegations. We learned the only doctor affiliated with the facility does not work there full-time. A nurse was found guilty of Medicaid fraud, and other staff members have criminal records as well. Did you feel like they were completely forthcoming with you on the phone in terms of who they were,
No.
what their procedures were?
No. I, number one, said, I do not want my son indoctrinated into Scientology here, and I mean it, and we don't do that.
They said we don't.
They said, no, we do not do that at all. When I talked to Gabe about it, he said, oh, that's their whole thing, trying to get us to be Scientologists.
Really?
That's what Gabe said to me.
The Church of Scientology has supported Narconon since its inception, but officials from Narconon insist it is a non-religious program, and they say they don't use it to recruit new members for Scientology. Narconon Arrowhead is not the only facility with troubles. Narconon's largest rehab center in North America, Three Rivers in Quebec, Canada, was shut down in April because it failed to meet new health and safety standards. The health minister said there was no medical supervision and the center posed a risk for the patients.
The scam begins.
David Love has a history of health and drug problems. He completed Narconon's program at Three Rivers in 2009. At the time, he seemed sold.
This place, these books really saved my life.
Love says he quickly went from student to staff member.
Oh, they offered me a job before I even finished the program. They start grooming patients before they even finish.
But what did the training entail?
I had to listen to 12 one-hour tapes of L. Ron Hubbard.
So nothing about drugs?
Oh, no, nothing. You never talk about that ever.
Nothing about how to respond to a medical emergency?
No, never.
A drug overdose?
No, never.
Was there anybody above you who had medical training?
No, the people above me were members of the Church of Scientology from Montreal.
Addiction is a disease requiring medical attention.
Susan Foster of Columbia University's National Center on Addiction and Substance Abuse says a non-medical approach to drug rehabilitation can be dangerous.
What would be the baseline for minimal treatment?
Someone trained in addiction medicine or addiction psychiatry, managing the care.
But Narconon supporters like Dr. David Root, who has a workplace health practice, says Narconon's holistic approach can and does work.
In my experience, the Narconon Hubbard detoxification program is the most effective program for getting students, drug abusers, off of their drugs, and it works.
Still, the number of recent deaths at the Narconon Arrowhead facility in Oklahoma is alarming.
3 people have died there in 9 months. When you hear something like that, do alarms go off?
Absolutely. You're supposed to go there to recover, not to die.
Love says he left Narconon because he concluded the 75% success rate that Narconon advertises is bogus.
As a graduate officer, I was the person to determine what the success rate was. I contacted all 720 patients, and I got the results back in about 3 days, and I said, oh my God, it's only 40-something%, and when I see all the staff members that have relapsed, we're down at about 20%. And I said, I'm not going to participate in this conspiracy to defraud the public. It's illegal. We can't do this.
Narconon International declined our request for an on-camera interview, but sent us a statement saying 3 out of 4 Narconon graduates are able to live stable, drug-free lives. Narconon Arrowhead CEO Gary Smith says his facility has a 90-day intensive training program for staff and employs licensed nurses and certified drug counselors. The Church of Scientology says David Love demanded money from the church in exchange for stopping what they call his, quote, anti-Scientology and anti-Narconon campaign, a charge he denies. As for the deaths at Narconon Arrowhead, Smith says he would like to comment, but can't, due to federal privacy laws. He says, our deepest sympathies go out to those families, and our prayers are with them.
I think they're taking advantage of the downtrodden.
Who do they answer to? They need to answer to somebody.
For the families of Gabriel Graves and Stacy Murphy, emotions are still raw as they struggle to come to terms with the sudden loss of their children.
Do you blame Narconon for your daughter's death?
Absolutely.
They say they want Narconon facilities shut down so no one has to go through what they have endured.
Stacy wasn't the only one, and the way they're running now, she won't be the last one. God help them.
Harry Smith here with us. So, Harry, while airing this may have its own effect, what is the status of the investigation as we sit here tonight?
Well, we contacted the governor's office in Oklahoma to find out just what is going on, and it seems like things are ramping up quite a bit. Just yesterday, we heard from her. Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, the district attorney, local sheriff's office, all have open investigations, and now the state medical examiner's office is also investigating the deaths.
Now, you and I have spent a fair amount of time, each of us, in Oklahoma. This is a tough place to get to, not near a lot. How does one come to Narconon as a client?
It's very interesting. A lot of places in the country, if you just Google drug rehabilitation, what's going to come up is a lot of sites. Mm-hmm. The sites with 1-800 numbers. You call that 1-800 number, chances are what you're going to end up connected to is a recent Narconon graduate who is then going to talk to you about the virtues of Narconon. If that person succeeds in getting you into the program, they'll get a commission.
Harry Smith, thank you for your reporting. Always good to see you. Thanks for being with us.